A lot of barriers that hinder their progress in this sector, and statistics indicates that a large proportion of women working in the informal sector and below the minimum wage and often lack access to health benefits, pension plan, and other forms of job security. According to a report from the International Labour Organization, approximately 80% of women working in the informal sector in Cameroon are self-employed and work in areas like street vending, agriculture, small-scale trade. But now the question is, why are women blocked in the informal sector? The program is Women and Leadership on Canal International. We'll be right back just after the jingle. And women in Cameroon and in many parts of the world face a variety of challenges that prevent them from advancing beyond the informal sector. And these barriers are rooted in cultural, social, economic, and institutional factors. In today's edition, we have invited just the right women to diagnose this very important thematic that is blocking millions of women from getting out of the informal sector. And again, if you have missed all our past editions, you can go to our YouTube page. You type Canal International, you type the thematic of that day, and you can watch all our past editions. And let the conversation begin just after this. And it's time for us to know our guests. Like I said before, we always invite the right women to diagnose the thematic of the day. And today we're looking at women in the informal sector. Why are women blocked at the level of the informal sector? Why can't they not move from the informal to the formal economy? And I have invited Dr. Elmine Fortabe. She is a founder and board chair of Fortabe University in Cameroon. She is an ethic entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, corporate trainer, and she wears a lot of other caskets. But one thing I know about her is that she has been doing a lot to promote women, especially young girls, manage their businesses, establish their own business. And she has this program as Project. Can you tell us what's all about?
Thank you very much, Maureen, for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be here. Yes, I do a lot to promote women, and ASPRODEC is the Association for the Promotion of Decent Work for Women and Girls. And we know that we cannot talk about moving women from the informal to the formal sector if we do not talk about decent work. We have to talk about decent work. We have to talk about the good education. We have to talk about good family life. We have to talk about entrepreneurship. And these are all the things that ASPRODEC stands for. Okay. So this is what we do with women.
And it's a link to the thematic of the day because we're talking about women in the informal sector. I know most of the young girls you have are in the informal sector. Equally have Victoire Njahan. I hope I pronounced her name well. She is a finance expert, a specialist. She is, I would say, a wealth management and credit risk founder of Seed Finance. Now, what's Seed Finance?
Thank you so much for the invitation, Maureen. So Seed Finance is a consulting company which I put in place to bring in financial literacy, financial culture to our communities, especially women, first of all, but everyone else that is in need of understanding how to manage their finances, not only personal but also within their companies.
And equally launch a book called or titled The Keys to Financial Autonomy.
Exactly.
Now, what are you touching in that book specifically?
Yeah, the book was recently launched. That was end of January. The book is about giving tips. So it's a compiling of 160 tips for financial autonomy, how to manage your money, how to manage your personal finances, starting by indicating to you or defining what is a budget, how do you budgetize, but how do you save as well, what are your objectives, but most importantly, what's your relationship to money actually. And there are a lot of tips also with regards to where do you invest in our environment in the zone CEMAC. Also, giving tips on how do you do transmission, how do you prepare the retirement time. So the book is about quite a lot of topics with regards to financial literacy.
It's like you're not scared of money. Because I know a lot of women are scared. They are in the informal sector. They are scared of having bigger money. So talk about that. I think it's linked to the theme of today. We have Wilma Tanya. She is a banker, let me say a finance expert. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I'm sure you have, we're doing a lot to educate women, and we'll have the International Women's Day that is coming on board. Now, what have you been doing personally to educate women and young girls?
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for having me on this show. I'm Wilma, like you rightly said, and I've been working in the banking industry for over a decade. And over my experience as a banker, this is a part that we've noticed that is quite lacking within our economy. We've seen that in the world at large, there's a gap here, and many people are looking at financial inclusion, especially with regards to women. So personally, we are looking at how we can empower these women, educate them. And like what my fellow colleague was saying, she mentioned the fact about financial literacy and how people relate to money. I think this is one thing, not just as a bank and as a banker, we are looking at promoting and educating these women. I would like to mention at my local church, we have this program that we run to empower women. And I actually lead that program. What I do with such a program is I look at their businesses and I try to do some sort of a consultancy service to understand what products, why are they getting into the business. Some of them don't even have business plans. They don't know what is the future for those businesses. So we look at such opportunities, help empower them by giving them educational educational backgrounds and how they can manage those businesses to grow. So
that's what you do out of business, out of your work.
Yes.
That's what you do for your community.
Yes.
Because you're going to church is your community. You're trying to educate it. And that's what we want a lot of women to, because if everyone finds itself in the community educating more women, then the win is ours. We equally have Takan Ange Karine Puzo Akem. She is a medical esthetician and a beautician, owner of Sparkle TLC Spa in Bonamusadi, Douala, Cameroon. I'm doing a publicity for you already. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
And you have a lot of passion for networking, and you think that networking can actually help women grow. Now, what's the magic behind that? What's your own magic?
Well, about 3 years ago, I started getting into networking and attending like conferences or summits. And one thing peculiar I realized was there was never really a platform for entrepreneurs, because it was always a women gender thing or mental health, self-care and all of that. And I felt like as an entrepreneur, as much as I could relate on a personal level to most of these conferences, I never really found my niche that could relate to my business, could help me grow my business. And I felt if I could feel that way, there are definitely so many other entrepreneurs that feel like that. And that's how I started an organization for entrepreneurs, which could help us entrepreneurs to have a community that we could rely on each other to network and market our craft.
Thank you so much. And before we open the conversation, I want us to watch this report painting a global picture of women in the informal sector statistics. Let's watch. We'll be right back just after the jingle.
Cameroonian women are at the forefront of entrepreneurial activities in the informal sector, according to a recent report by the National Institute of Statistics. The study indicates that 68.3% of women work independently compared to 48.2% of men. Analysts attribute this remarkable disparity to various socio-economic and cultural factors.
Les femmes sont plus nombreuses dans le secteur informel que les hommes pour...
Women dominate the informal sector due to 5 factors. The first is the population structure. Women outnumber men, and this increases their chances. Less access to education also pushes women into informal jobs, requiring no formal training. Thirdly, the effective use of local language aids trade. So we equally have cultural norms that limit them. And lastly, low entry barriers. They need minimal capital to start informal work.
Le capital technique sommaire.
A majority of employed women are concentrated in sectors requiring minimal qualifications, often because of a mismatch between their skills and job market demands.
They want to employ the student. They start for stage universitaire, for stage professionnel, and then they go for sous-traitance, and then you go for pré-emploi, and so on. That time is 5 or 6 years. It stays too long for a woman to wait for before go marry, and they cannot stay long like men to support extra time.
Les femmes ne sont pas marginalisées.
Women are not marginalized in the job market but often take on roles traditionally viewed as feminine. Biological, cultural, and societal factors contribute to this division. Hard physical labor or combat roles are less associated with women, who often face skepticism when pursuing such jobs.
The study further reveals that only 21.6% of women in Cameroon have received formal professional training compared to 28.6% of men. This gap significantly limits their ability to transition into high-paying or specialized fields.
Marie begins a day long before dawn, waving through the central market of Douala. Elsewhere, this lady, once a teacher, the death of her husband forced her to reinvent herself in a street vendor to provide for her family. Her story is emblematic of a silent economic force, women dominating the informal sector.
Le salaire ne permet pas à nourrir ma famille.
All those girls, they cannot remain in the house. They can come in market and do themselves some kind of money.
The informal economy in Cameroon is a cornerstone of national commerce. According to the country's National Institute of Statistics, women constitute more than 2/3 of this sector. They are seamstresses, street vendors, or food sellers.
I like the way I'm doing. I like what I'm doing because I've already organized myself in the way I'm doing my business. I base on my capital. I don't joke with my capital. The main thing is my capital. I don't joke with it. I might do anything, but I don't joke with my capital.
Their contributions are as diverse as they are vital, ensuring that local markets thrive even in the face of broader economic challenges.
You work till Sunday. You need to be with your family at times. So that's why I look at the type of job she's doing. I say it should be her, but for me, I can't do that type of job. So I decided to base on my business.
However, life in this sector is not without its hurdles. The absence of social protection, coupled with financial instability, makes their resilience all the more remarkable.
Some of the customers, some male customers like fine women, or they will think that maybe you are here alone, they have the chance to work out with you.
Their efforts not only sustain families, but also underpin the broader economy. As Cameroon continues its path to development, the women of the informal economy remain heroes, quietly driving progress.
More than 70% of women are in the informal sector in Cameroon. Is not a hidden secret. But now the question is, why are women blocked in the informal sector? I just want us to just start from the root causes. Let's not beat around the bush. Dr. Emin Fotabe.
Well, I think that there are many reasons why women are blocked in that sector. Before I discuss the reasons, I just want to state that not every woman can move from the informal to the formal sector. And not every woman should. There are some women who should stay in that sector.
But you agree that at least 70% of Cameroon's economy are women in the informal sector?
Definitely. So I'm going to be talking to women who can move and who should move. And the first thing that I think is the big problem here is that we don't have education. We don't have the right education. Women don't have the right education. First, women do not know much about the formal sector. I'm sure this thing we are talking about here, many women don't relate. Because they don't know that there is a difference between being this person who sells in the market, sells vegetables, and then someone like our friend who has a business, registered business, paying taxes. So this education is largely lacking, and we think that we should start from there. Those women we think can and should move should be given that education. This is the first thing. So women should no longer fear to learn. We all have to learn. What is the formal sector? That is the first thing. The second thing is that sometimes I call it self-sabotage. Women begin to feel that they don't deserve to move from the informal sector to the formal sector, and this is not right. As a woman, you have the right to grow. Moving from the informal sector to the formal sector is growth at so many levels. So this self-sabotage is one of the things also that is keeping women in that sector.
Self-sabotage from the women themselves?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
so women limit themselves
they limit
already.
themselves. They feel like they are not, they should not. They are not able to move.
All right, the next question I want to ask now, when we talk about the formal or informal sector, who are the women you identify in the informal sector? Because sometimes you might be there, you don't even know if you're in the informal sector.
So a lot of women being in the informal sector, you're asking me who I would identify as a woman in the informal sector. It's certainly a woman who hasn't, first of all, registered her company. So she has no company name. She didn't do the process of registering that company, because I think this is another process that is pretty difficult for a lot of people to go through or to go around, because there too you need some knowledge to understand why you are going through this process, right? And if you haven't been doing or going through that process, you won't understand, and you won't have a formally constitutioned business. So that is what I would call informal, being informal.
But women, not all companies can, or not all women in the informal sector can move to the formal sector. Sure. Who are the women you think can stay in the informal sector and those who move to the formal sector? We are looking at the business, there are petty businesses, right? We have banana sellers, we have buy and sell lambs in the market. I mean, who has that capacity? What type of businesses are we talking about? We want to talk about 70% of women in the informal sector.
I think I'll beg to differ with that. When we talk about financial inclusion, we are looking at those underprivileged population that have not had access to finance, so financial institutions or financial services. And the whole idea is to get those undeserving populations to be able to get that. If we look at the Western world, almost everybody is included in the financial system. I think there's a myth.
No matter the business?
No matter the business. Because there's a myth when we talk about documentations. A banana seller, I work for the bank, a banana seller has an income justification. And that brings me back to the idea that they say these women are stuck in the informal sector because they think when they come to the bank, they'll have lots of questions to answer. And I would like to precise, a woman who sells banana along the road, she pays a slight income tax of 100 francs and is given a ticket daily. With at least 5 of those tickets, you can open a bank account. So I don't see a reason why any woman should be limited to the informal sector. That ticket authenticates your business. It shows that at least you are moving towards formality. And once that has been achieved, then there are other services and opportunities which can be open to you within the banking industry. Thank you.
Ange, is it the same reality with you? Well, you were in the informal sector, right? And you moved, right? Can you tell us your experience?
Well, first of all,
doctor.
the fact that I wanted to I felt like I was not being visible enough. I felt like my business wasn't growing. So working from home was not any validity for me. And I felt that I had a lot of limitations to the opportunities being in the informal sector. And I feel like there's certain people that maybe, like you said, is the lack of the education. For example, domestic aids, there's so many irregulations to the kind of jobs they do, the kind of hours of work they put in, and the money they earn from what they do. How possible is it for somebody who is a domestic aid to move to the formal sector? I kind of feel there's almost an impossibility for that, unless if women can help.
Maybe you had the education, that's why you wanted to move.
Exactly.
But there are a lot of women out there who don't even know how to even move or have the education to move. But you were educated enough. But now, if you want to rate you, before I get to Wilma, talking about your business, maybe how you started, maybe with capital and everything, can you tell us again your experience with that?
Well, I feel it was very challenging because, first of all, I wouldn't get the opportunity to any grants or loans. And I feel like investment in Cameroon, to get independent investors that really see your dream, believe in it, was a problem. Secondly, relating to education, maybe I was not financially educated enough to draft an adequate business plan to present it to someone to be willing to take the risk of investing in my business. And another thing that probably limited me was the fact that I was not willing to partner with anybody. So So a lot of us women, the limitations we get is that we feel we can do it all by ourselves. So I wasn't asking for help, and even when I needed to ask for help, I think I didn't have the adequate education enough to get the help that I needed. But now, what process did I go through? I had to save up. So I started very small, from a 2-feet container to what I have today, and that was a whole process of saving over years.
And you were not scared of moving from the informal to the formal sector, knowing the taxes that will come along, the other problems, I mean, did you,
well,
have you ever borrowed money from the bank?
Yes, I have. 2 years ago.
All right, we'll come to that. Don't talk.
So I think that it's very important that we clarify what we are talking about here, the informal and the formal sectors. Of course, as an advocate for women, I want every woman to attain that level of financial independence, financial inclusion. Everyone is included. But the reality, we should talk about the reality here. There are a lot of women we know out there who don't have what it takes to move. And as someone who advises women, there are women, I would say, stay there for now. Because that transition is not easy. It is not just, going to the bank and having an account. Everyone can have, right? But now it's the transition, getting this business registered, starting to pay taxes, all the documentation. I have companies, and I should tell you that even with the graduates I have who manage our taxation, our CMPS, it's not easy. Now talk about these women who have not been to school, right? And they are running their small businesses, they are selling cassava, they are selling plantains, and you want to tell them to transition. That is not even advisable for now, because there are lots of costs that come along with that.
So when should they transition?
We should think that women build their capital first, and that's why I was talking about capital inclusion, financial inclusion. When a woman has been able to build that capital to pay for external services, then I can say, yes, you move. Because then we have people like Victoire, who can now hold their hands and say, come, this is how I can register your business, this is how. But until they can build that strong financial basis, we should not also be telling the women that they must move at all costs.
All right, Victoire, don't you think that the problem is with women? Do you blame the women for staying in the informal sector?
To be honest, I blame our system. I blame our educational system, because that is where we should have started in the first, very at the beginning, because not just about talking about the informal sector, it's also about talking about our personal lives. A lot of women out there, or a lot of people out there, are going through divorce, for example, which is another topic probably, because of the lack of our financial culture, right? So that is where I put on the blame. I'm not putting the blame on women or on men, or
the system.
But that's the system that is not accompanying the people to do the right things, or to do the things the way they should do it. And to be honest, this is not just a problem in Africa. I would say this is a more general problem, more broader problem. And the other thing is that women or people need some coaching. This is something we don't know, or we are not used to in our environment. But it's about time to start looking and searching for help when things don't go the way we want them to go, right? And looking for help starts by having your mobile phone. You have access to Facebook, to internet, but instead of going to Facebook, you could check on the internet how you can move your business forward, right? And it starts with having the right attitude, having the right, the right mindset. It's about having knowing, okay, I've been doing my business, I've been selling my bananas for years now. How can I move to the next step?
You sell bananas for 10 years and you're not moving, you're doing the same thing for 10 years.
You need to think about, do I want to move to the next step, and how do I cope with it? How do I make sure to take the next step?
It means the women are not ready to move.
Exactly, you need to prepare yourself for that, right? So it's very important to have the right mindset, and that is also why in any, coaching session I'm giving, or in any master class, I will always start by, what is your relationship to money? Why is it important for you to search for money out there?
Okay, now I want to look at the different factors. We have education, right? We have skills. Do women have the right skills to move to the next level? Because it's about capacity building. You need to have the right skills to move to the next level. Do they have financial autonomy?
You need to want it first. That's where it starts. You need to have the right mindset.
All right, women wants to react?
The skills, you can learn about the skills.
I want to react to something. When we talk about financial inclusion, we are talking about demystifying the concept of financial opportunities being offered to this undeserving populations, as we say. And when we look at it and telling women that don't go formal, the idea of going formal must not necessarily, it's not necessarily be having like a pattern, register the commerce, like we'll call it in our context. It's about being able to pay your daily taxes. I need us to clarify what is going formal. The whole idea of women banking, because we have a whole unit of women banking, and we look at 5 major pillars. We're looking at education. We are educating these women about financial literacy. How do you have access to registering your business? We are organizing workshops. We are organizing seminars to educate these women that you don't necessarily need to get all those paperwork. What we need to know is that you're identified. For instance, today we are talking about over 5 million users for mobile money. That's already some sort of mobile banking. Those women are all present there. Why aren't they present in the banking sector, where they can benefit from loans? So we are working on a system to integrate this. If we look at this, the women present using mobile banking solutions, can we get them on board? And how can we help them to advance their business? When we're emphasizing here about having all the documentations and tax declarations, I think we're making this myth even further from the women.
All right, let's take a woman that's been selling, let's say, bananas or orange in the market for 10 years. Her capital is limited. She has children. If she thinks of going to bank, she thinks of her children, and the rest of it blocks her along the line. And she knows if she goes to bank, they'll ask for documents. That's what we need to take out off from the heads of women.
Yes.
But now, is it every business you do that you must formalize? Because some want to stay, they are scared of moving. It might include a lot of financial responsibility and the rest, but we're trying to make women know that they could a little bit have a change or innovation in their businesses. You must not stay there just in one place doing the same thing. I mean, there should be a change somewhere. You should change from something. You need to grow. If you started your capital of 10, you need to grow somewhere. Yes, Mima.
Our main focus as a bank is about women at those levels. Those women that sell bananas along the road. We have what we call payday loans. You can borrow money from mobile money, but there's a limit to how much they can give you. But now, if you have those tickets that you pay daily, meaning that most of them will come, or somebody who roasts fish along the road, they go to probably, say, a Congercam or any cold store, they go take those on credit, and they'll pay after a day. Already talking about financial inclusion. You have an account, you have those payday loans, you get those loans because they see how your account is moving. You go buy that fish, you come and pay, and you're building a credit history.
Exactly.
So those are the things that we are talking about.
But that is what a lot of women out there don't know. And that's how we're trying to...
That's not formal. That's not going formal. We have to clarify that.
Yeah, it's a
that
ladder.
Like it's a ladder.
Step forward. Because if you start by taking that day, you call it day-to-day loans.
Yes,
but you're in the banking, you're in the banking system.
But you should be able to save. You have to benefit from that.
Yes,
Exactly.
You should be able to save. And you have proof that you're paying those taxes.
Those loans and you're paying the taxes.
You're paying the taxes.
And but your business is not growing. You are taking a step, you're moving a step forward, right? But your business is still not growing. Why? Because at the end of every evening,
you need to go and pay the loan.
No, you go back to that fish stand and you still roast your fish.
And sometimes
you don't have two stands, you don't have 3 stands.
Yes.
Because if you start having a second stand and the third stand,
and
then you're growing your business.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
When we talk about those payday loans, and we are looking at making this to evolve, we are looking at your capacity to be able to generate,
generate income.
Because there are algorithms that are done behind that to look at how you're able to generate that income fast enough and to make you to
Yes, and that's why we said before, exactly. That's why we said before that there is a time to go formal. When a woman has achieved that growth, when a woman starts growing financially, then that woman has the muscle to now go formal. I should sit here and tell every woman that you should formalize your business. This is the legal thing to do. But it is not the right thing to do at every stage of a business.
Exactly.
So when a woman's business is growing, then definitely you have to formalize that business. And being formal as a business doesn't mean having a bank account. That's only one of the
And the question still comes up at what stage? Yes,
it doesn't mean having a bank account. It just means that the system should be able to identify you.
True.
And so when these people are able to pay their taxes, they go to our communes and they are registered. I partook in a system where we integrated for Douala 5 in my former life, another company where I was working. And so they had to integrate all the traders around Marseille Central. So there's a database. Once you're registered on that database, you're considered formal, and those daily collections can be paid and collected even via mobile money.
Oh, that
so,
is true.
So I just want us to demystify formality.
I still don't see any growth there. So growth starts when you
expand.
When you expand.
Yes.
We need to make sure we understand ourselves very well, right? And the other thing is that being kept into those daily loans, that's a big...
That's just one side
that's
of what
one
we
big
offer.
trap.
For some people, it can add pressure.
Because they are much expensive than anything you can get where else. You need to make sure and to let people understand, and that's why there's that urgent need for financial literacy across our communities, because having a daily loan, it's maybe comfortable for you because you don't want to, how do I say, to make yourself accountable for anything, right? You're like living on a daily basis, and this is where we want to move the women from, or most of the people doing business out there from, living daily. You need to be capable of predicting. You need to be capable of projecting yourself so that you can do
objectives.
Not even that. Even for your loans you're about to take, right? Having a loan that you're taking and paying, let's say monthly, it's much more interesting than having a loan you're paying back on a daily basis. That's much expensive.
You're right. The idea here, I'm giving an example. When we look at women, financial inclusion, and women probably in banking and involving them all here, we are trying to look at, on a daily basis, they go to, say, a congé camp and they want to take, how do we solve that problem so they don't have all that kind of pressure? Probably we are evolving with these women, and that's why we are talking about the 5 pillars. We're talking about education, we're talking about their lifestyle, we're talking about their health, we're talking about their finances, and all sorts of things. So we are not limited to say daily loans. We are tailoring our products as per what the women want, as per what they need. So those daily sellers, these are statistics and I would like to say questionnaires that we have tried to gather to say, what are your needs? What do you think will satisfy you per time? And so we classify them, because we know some of these women are classified, even though they say informal, some of them might be very petite and others are. So all those things.
Now I'm looking at all the factors. Now, which one affects women more? Is it access to credit? Is it collateral, financial autonomy? Which of them affects women more? And what should women do to grow to the next level? Because we're talking about living from the informal sector to the formal sector, want women to grow. And they are the backbone of Cameroon's economy.
That's true.
I think it's more about capital. Because yes, when you get the financial education, if you have the right capital, maybe you will be able to invest.
So the capital finance is a huge problem for women to grow.
First of all, let's take an example from our mothers. A lot of them were undereducated.
That was another generation.
Yes,
true. Don't talk about
So because of the undereducation and the conception that the world was for men to work and women stay at home, it still plays on the intelligence of a lot of women nowadays. We cannot ignore it because it was another generation. It still does play. So some women have the conception that my role is to be a stay-at-home mom or a domestic wife, or my responsibility is my family. So first of all, they have that limitation of saying that my responsibility is to raise the family and build a home. Then secondly, even those who are willing to actually carry out projects, do they have the financial independence to do that? How many people are willing to support your idea?
That's all right. That's a problem. That's the biggest problem for your capital.
There's some mistakes. So financial autonomy or financial independence, you don't have to have financial independence before you start anything. No. You start building something up to get to financial independence. That's something you may work throughout your life to get to, and you may even not reach, right? So there are a lot of us out there that haven't even got to financial literacy, to financial independence. So that's a progress. That's a work in progress, right? And I'll always come back to that. It's our relationship to money. For what do we need money? Do we need money to give back? Do we need money just for the purpose of saving, of keeping, a big amount of money in our bags? Or do we need money just to spend on, those lifestyle stuff? Or do we need money to accomplish some projects? And I think that is where we should start asking ourselves about, why do we need that money? What is our relationship to money?
All right, Doctor.
And I think that
let's take Doctor before we come.
I think that no matter how we want to look at this thing, we'll go back to the basics, the fundamental things. And I'll break down what I said before into two now. Before I said education. But right now, maybe I should say information, which is also part of it.
So that's the biggest problem?
I think that's the biggest problem. The biggest
Not
problem,
finance.
Finance comes later.
Okay.
Because I think that when you are educated, when you have the right information, then you know where and how to get the finance.
Okay.
So I think that the basics, where we have to go now to start helping women is education and information. Education is not only formal education.
Now, educate them about what?
Educate them about their businesses, educate them about their mindsets, educate them about where to get information, educate them about how to grow, educate them how to know that they are even growing, because some don't even know when they are growing. I'll just share an experience with you. Last year, we were preparing to have the General Assembly of ASPRODEC, and I went to talk to the delegate of Women's Empowerment and the Family. And one thing she told me in her office is, I sit here every day and I wait for women to come ask me questions. They don't come. We have a lot of programs and projects for women, but the women don't come to us.
Are the women aware?
That's information.
Are they educated? You don't have the right information?
That's what we're
That is a
talking
problem.
about.
And again, doctor, the women look for information.
Very
If
good.
you want to grow, you need to look for information.
Exactly.
You need to get to the women that are up there that can give information.
Exactly.
If you find a woman in church, you know that this is the woman that can give, you run to her.
And
This I need info. You cannot sit at your, comfort space and you want information, right?
That is that need to grow that we need to have first. And you know, we are coming back to the mindset. It's all about the mindset. At the end of the day, it's that hunger, exactly. And the minute you are hungry, you are capable of, you know, of putting in place those strategies to get to, you know, to where you want to go.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I would just like to, I think we've all made wonderful points, and I say we cannot negate, like she said, the idea, the cultural idea that we think we are supposed to be at home, and has impacted many women, even career women, in career advancement, because they think that the woman was limited to the home. And also there's the point about information, and like you said, why do you need money? It's vision. Do you need money to serve people, or you just need money for yourself? And so your vision inspires your growth. So where there's no vision, there's no growth. You're dying.
So even if you're selling even your tomatoes,
you need to have a vision.
That I want to move from maybe selling one basket to maybe 10 baskets in 5 months to maybe 20 baskets in the next 1 year. I mean, that's a vision. And maybe I will supply maybe to other people. I come again, same tomatoes, or I have different tomato stores in different markets in Douala. That is moving. I can have women that can help you. And she'll be leaving us soon because we're having another banker joining us. But I want, before you go, you tell us how you got credit from a bank, because a lot of women are scared of that, because we want women to toe the line, and we know that at level of the bank, women are just so scared. So tell us how you got there.
So when I applied for a loan in 2022, it's because I wanted to grow my business. My business was just like a basic, every other basic spa, and then I noticed that gradually medical aesthetics was coming into the game, and I wanted to be one of the first people to start, but I didn't have the money to go to school or to buy the equipment. So I applied for a loan, and it was a bank I was not even registered in. So I used my landed property, and I used my mom, because she was a part of that bank, to apply for that loan. And they were like, why is your mom applying for the loan instead of you? She's over 60, risk and all of that. And then I said, well, I have a business. So they came to check on my records, my accounts. And the manager was very impressed, and he asked me what I did in school. I said law, and he said, so how did you manage to know how, because your accounting is very organized, or did you prepare it before we were coming? And I was like, no, I mean, my computer disc cannot lie, my books cannot lie. So I learned over the years, and that was my 9th year running my business, and I told him I learned over the years how to actually keep track of my accounts. And I think that impacted them to giving me the loan, because it was very coherent and very organized. Despite the fact that I had landed property, I was not a part of that bank. I had never saved a dime. I had never opened an account.
Did you give them anything?
But you had what they call...
No, I gave them a landed property. I had collateral.
But how other women wouldn't have that?
No, you had what they call history.
Yes.
Historical data. That's very important within the financing system, right? I'm saying this because a lot of people don't take this very seriously, to keep data data records. It's so important. And they saw it. You have 9 years of experience in that your business, even though you studied law, which has nothing to do with aesthetics, right? But you showed that you have perseverance. You have acquired some knowledge about the business you're doing.
Consistency.
So you are mature. You have acquired some maturity to get to the next level, and you've been preparing yourself with your records, with your knowledge, with your experience, with whatever.
And that's she wouldn't be given a loan, because when you look at in terms of credit, she fits into all the 5 C's of credit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
All right, and you're leaving us. They have a project very briefly that is coming up.
Yeah. So on the 1st of March, I'm bringing together entrepreneurs. We have the 2nd summit for Lean Africa. Lean Africa is an organization that I run, which I started for entrepreneurs. Of course, it's leadership, empowerment, and networking. And this organization, the main objective is just to bring entrepreneurs together. So we're having our 2nd edition this year, 1st of March at Crystal Palace. So I'm inviting all entrepreneurs. If you know that the theme for this year is plan, save, and execute, and it's really basically on what we are talking about on this table. So it's going to help us a lot of entrepreneurs on how to plan, save, and grow our businesses.
Thank you so much, Ange, and good luck to your project. And we equally sample the opinion of some women out there, especially women in those small-scale businesses, to tell us the challenges, difficulties they have moving from the informal to the formal sector. Let's watch. We'll be right back.
On va prendre le crédit à la banque quand on est dans un sous-quartier et que le marché ne donne même pas. On va faire comment pour rembourser? On préfère faire avec ce qu'on a.
Moi d'abord, je ne vois pas sur quelle base miser pour pouvoir aller à une microfinance ou une banque pour demander de l'aide, pour accroître mon business. Quand vous allez parfois dans les banques, on vous dit qu'est-ce que vous avez pour mettre en garantie, pour pouvoir prendre un taux, un montant d'argent. Vous voyez un peu. Donc, pour moi, c'est pas facile. C'est pas facile. Qu'ils acceptent de nous donner même d'abord.
Je n'ai pas encore eu à prendre le crédit à la banque parce que je ne remplis pas les critères pour avoir le crédit à la banque. Il faut avoir un titre foncier, ce que je n'ai pas déjà.
Et qui dit que bon, chaque commerçant, il donne peut-être sa condition et que le commerçant voit que ça lui va mieux. Il pourrait mieux aller là-bas chercher. Mais si ce n'est pas possible, nous on va rester comme nous restons là, à se battre avec notre petit que nous en avons, pour peut-être pouvoir subvenir à nos besoins et notre famille. C'est un peu ça.
Bon, tout ce que je demande au gouvernement, c'est qu'ils arrangent au moins nos routes et ils voient aussi comment on va faire pour les impôts, parce que dans le sous-quartier où nous sommes, les impôts ne nous laissent pas. Donc tout ce qu'on travaille là, c'est pour les donner seulement. Donc, si on calcule le loyer aussi, si on calcule que tout ça, c'est qu'on doit fermer seulement.
Welcome back, and this time around we have another person, a woman that has joined us. She is a banker as well. Like we say today, we want to bring in professional specialists to tell us how women can break the barriers moving from the informal to the formal sector. And one of the major problems is financial autonomy that we know, even though there are other hosts of problems that are blocking women in the informal sector. Now I want to welcome Christelle Haddison. I'm calling the simplest name that I can call because other names look a little bit tough for me. How do you do?
I'm fine.
Comment tu vas?
Je vais très
It's
bien,
like
merci.
you English, you can't flow in English.
No, Cameroon is a bilingual country, so I can speak either in English or in French.
All right, you can mix the two if you want.
Okay,
Feel free.
thank you.
Now, we're talking about the bank. What is your bank offering when it comes to breaking the barriers from the informal to the formal sector?
Okay. De mon expérience, je suis à CCA Bank et je pense qu'à travers le programme Women Banking de CCA Bank, ça va progressivement. Quand nous disons progressivement, ça veut dire que des statistiques de l'ONU, nous voyons que nous avons beaucoup de femmes au Cameroun. Et nous avons beaucoup de femmes qui font dans l'informel, ça veut dire elles ont des petits business et autres. Maintenant, l'Institut financier a dit comment est-ce que nous pouvons accompagner ces femmes, parce qu'avant de parler de l'autonomie financière, il faudrait que chaque femme connaisse d'abord ce qu'elle veut faire, comment est-ce qu'elle peut mener à bien son business, quels sont les avantages ou bien qu'est-ce que la concurrence offre à cette cible et comment est-ce qu'elle peut faire pour avancer dans son business. Donc, à travers le programme Women Banking, nous répondons à ces questionnements parce que, premièrement, nous avons le programme de formation des femmes, ça veut dire CCA série, ça veut dire on vous apprend à gérer un business, ça veut dire on vous forme, on vous apprend à gérer un business, on vous apprend comment évoluer d'une étape à une autre dans votre business.
Mais est-ce que les femmes sont au courant de cette projet?
Beaucoup de femmes.
Parce que le projet est là, mais est-ce que les femmes, combien de femmes ont bénéficié de ça?
Bon, déjà, les femmes ont cette barrière entrer à la banque parce que comme la femme se dit souvent que non, c'est l'homme qui fait tout à la maison, c'est l'homme qui ramène. Parfois, elle se dit même qu'on ne peut pas l'octroyer le crédit parce qu'elle est une femme. On va lui dire, est-ce que tu as les projets de construction?
Elle se met une barrière d'abord.
Oui, elle se met une barrière. C'est pour ça que nous allons chercher ces femmes. Parce que quand elles entendent le nom Women Banking, elles savent déjà que d'une manière ou d'une autre, ça ne concerne que les femmes. Donc, du coup, il y a déjà cette liberté d'esprit. Parce que si on dit crédit bancaire, elle sait que ça renvoie à la masculinité. Donc, par contre, quand on dit...
on féminise ça.
Quand on féminise women...
I let me try my luck.
Oui. Et par exemple, quand on dit peut-être le compte First Lady, ça fait rêver. Ça fait rêver. Tu dis, OK, I want to be first in what I want to do. Even I'm selling bananas, I would like to be first in my banana selling. So how do I do to improve?
This is very interesting. This is
but now the issue is that the banks are offering this service, but do they make it the tax procedure easier for women to access these loans? Because that's another problem. Because you have the women banking, you have the first lady, but when the women come there, bam, she needs a collateral, bam, she needs this, bam, and the women are scared. And she goes back, tells the other woman, you're going there, they don't know even you did this, so it scares them. So how do you make the process?
I think she should come now. For some simplifications of processes for women. I mean, we are the ones putting in those barriers in our minds.
Et à la suite de ce qu'elle dit, c'est un processus. Parce que du moment où la femme entre à la banque, c'est déjà une barrière qu'elle a brisée. Et maintenant, du moment où elle s'explique à son gestionnaire, parce qu'elle n'entre pas à la banque, voilà, je suis venue prendre le crédit. Non, il y a des femmes qui ont même du potentiel, qui ne savent pas l'exploiter. Et une femme peut avoir de l'argent parfois parce que la banque a deux volets. Il y a les épargnants et il y a ceux qui prennent le crédit. Et c'est l'épargne publique que nous donnons sous forme de crédit. Ça veut dire qu'il y a une femme, elle peut avoir son argent, elle n'a pas encore mûri un projet, elle se met à le dépenser. Non. Le processus de faire avancer aussi une femme, c'est de lui dire, si tu as tel, viens, on te montre comment monter un business plan. Et pendant ce temps, tu épargnes ton argent à un taux d'intérêt peut-être fortement concurrentiel. Et maintenant, pour celle qui n'a pas de l'argent, qui vient peut-être à la banque pour dire, OK, je voudrais que vous m'aidez. Qu'est-ce que tu sais faire? Si tu vends de la banane, OK, comment on va t'apprendre à travers notre programme de formation, comment gérer un business? Parce qu'il y a certaines, elles se sont levées, la maman vendait la banane, après la maman est décédée, elle continue dans la vente de la banane, elle ne comprend rien du tout de la gestion d'une entreprise. Et puis on va lui dire, voilà comment tu peux gérer ton petit business. Maintenant, voilà comment tu dois faire face à la concurrence. De temps en temps, il faut un peu aller guetter, c'est que celle qui vend la banane à gauche ou bien à droite, comment elle fait. Tu peux aussi utiliser ces outils pour t'améliorer.
Thank you so much. The banks are there, Doc, to help women. But there is still a big problem. How do we make women go to the banks and have self-confidence to get these credits? I'm coming to you, Victoria.
well, one of the things we should do here is go down to the women we are addressing. Where we talk about banking here, for us on this panel, it's okay, we understand. But for the women who are still in the informal sector, many of them should know that when we talk about banking, we are not only talking about those big names, and we are not only talking about those big products, those big kind of accounts. That's why Wilma was talking a while ago about daily savings. This is for every woman.
Okay.
Whether you have gone to school, you have not gone to school, your business is big, it is small, you can save every day. And there are financial institutions for all of you, for every woman, not just for people who are working, people who have 10 million, no. Every woman today with 500 francs you can save. You can start from there. So that's the thing we have to tell these women first, to know that when we talk about banking, it's not limited to a certain
They should not like think of big money.
No.
There
are small ones around where you stay. Just look for where you stay and look for a place that has been there for long. Ask people who know it. Let them tell you. You can start saving as little as 500 francs and grow from there.
Victoire.
I would add, I definitely agree with what you were saying, but I would add to go to the roots, and the roots are our school education. We really have to plead for our education system or educational system to bring in financial literacy or financial culture into our schools, because the earlier we start
from the primary,
starting from the
money.
primary, definitely.
They should know that business is important.
Definitely, it's really about getting our children to understand the importance of money and the importance of money management, right? And then when they will grow, they will understand it. They won't need financial literacy from starting from the ground. So it's really important to plead for that issue. And the other thing is that I would wish CCA Bank to maybe go to those very little localities where there's maybe less access to the banking system or microfinance and so on and so forth, to bring in that culture as well, because we all know, bank is telling us, okay, they do accompany those women and so on, but the bank is there to make money. Let's put it
and now, what is the role of government? I'm coming to you, women. What's the role of government? Because you have policies too.
You have policies too, but I know you're asking for those tax simplifications and so on and so forth. I don't agree with that, because there are also a lot of men out there that have no idea of money management. We need to say it. And that's why I found it very funny as you were saying that, okay, when you have women banking, a lot of women feel like, they have some affinity with that. That is interesting, because I started with Femme Finance, which is a platform on YouTube, where I started giving some knowledge tips to women. And then I acknowledged that a lot of men, they feel like left aside. They feel like, okay, this is not about me. You're talking about Family Finance. Okay, this is just about the women. But a lot of them have the same lack, the same necessity to learn about it. That's why I even moved from Family Finance to Seed Finance, so that everyone feels comfortable with that name. Everyone feels comfortable with the activity. So that's very interesting. But I think that information is extremely important. It's key. Our educational system has to evolve to grow with what is coming next. So about tax simplicity, I'm not a fan of it.
Yes, Doug, we're talking about policies here.
Well, just like Victoire, I don't go talking about policies, because I think that I travel a lot. I have lived out of Cameroon. I think that if the taxes are quite fair, people have to pay taxes. But what we need to be talking about here is how to make more money so that you can pay the taxes freely. So
what women need to do
to make more money to pay so that they can pay their taxes. I think that is very fair.
And the banks are here to help us. Now tell us how
banks
simple
are not
is the procedure.
I want us to demystify this thing. A bank is a business. At the end of the day, when you identify a need in society and you solve a problem, you make money. And for that institution to continuously respond to that need, money has to be made.
Exactly.
So banks are here to solve a problem. They are here to help, but they are also there to be profitable, to continuously render that help. Now, if you look at the banks today, we are going to Marché Central. We are going to where those people are located. If you will notice, within the banking industry, when we look at the large corporates, they don't give us money. The people that will save and give you stable deposits, she's going to add to that, are those petty traders. Because they are trying to keep money for a future, probably a future need, or for their tontines or for their children's school fees or something of that sort. And they have stable deposits that they don't withdraw just at any time. So the banks have also identified that opportunity. As I solve your problem, you can also bring those deposits to me that can be used to offer credit. And so why not to this population? We are increasingly going to areas which were initially looked upon as no-go areas.
Now, what's the solution here? We are gradually ending the program. Doctor, we are looking for solutions. What are we telling the women? We are simplifying solutions here. Before we get to Doctor and Victoire. Yes.
Okay, I will invite all women to come. Parce que quand nous parlons de formation avec CCA Business Series, c'est gratuit.
A lot of publicity. Continue.
C'est gratuit. Quand je parle de ces formations, c'est gratuit. Ça veut dire des experts dans le domaine viennent former les femmes à comment développer leur business, à comment entreprendre pour l'inclusion financière. Ça veut dire quand une femme vient, on ne va pas lui dire non, paye les frais de formation. Donc,
c'est gratuit.
C'est gratuit. Donc, nous descendons, nous cherchons les plus petites femmes. Et ça ne commence pas directement, puisque aussi, quand nous parlons de banque, quelqu'un là s'est dit, ça devrait être segmenté, parce qu'il y a les tout petits, il y a les moyens, il y a les plus grands. Ça veut dire que les tout petits, ils ont des types de comptes qui sied. Ça veut dire que ce sont même des comptes où parfois ils ne sont pas obligés de venir directement à la banque, ils sont dans les points. Dans nos points, d'ailleurs, une bayamsel, on peut vendre 2000 ou 3000, elle s'en va verser, ainsi de suite. Par contre, il y a aussi des moyens qui nécessitent déjà vraiment s'investir dans le côté formel où il faut avoir ce qu'on connaît tous, les DSF, les plans de comptabilité, ainsi de suite. Et aussi les plus grands. Il y a des femmes qui gèrent des grosses entreprises où elles ont besoin de coaching et beaucoup plus pour manager la vie professionnelle et la vie familiale. Parce que c'est aussi ça le véritable problème. C'est ça le gros challenge aussi. Parce qu'une femme peut avoir la volonté et après le mari ne laisse pas qu'elle s'exprime. Et comme une femme aussi, elle peut avoir beaucoup de volonté et du moment où elle pense qu'elle a déjà de l'argent plus que son mari, ça commence un peu. Donc il faut un peu trouver cet équilibre et ça passe aussi à travers des formations et des coachings.
All right, we're rounding up, but I would like each and every one of you to look at your camera right. You're talking to a woman out there, and this time you're giving her a solution, what she needs to grow to the formal sector, living informal to formal sector, or how to build her business properly so that she grows. Doctor, look at your camera.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you think that you're ready and you want to move to the formal sector from the informal sector, please get the right information. Get the right information. We are here. There are many associations. We said it before, you can meet someone in your local church, in your local community. Meet someone and ask for the right information and the right accompaniment, if you like, in terms of education, to know what you have to do to move. One other thing I have to tell women is that there are many associations today, like ASPRODEC, that are working to help women understand what we've been discussing here. Don't shy away from joining these associations. Join these associations. Learn. At the end of the day, no matter your level of education, you can learn something new. And that something new can move you from the informal to the formal sector. It is not left for only people who have big book, as they say. Any woman, no matter your level, you can learn something. Join the associations, find them. Reach out to people like Maureen, who is running a program like this one. Reach out to Victoire. Ask your children to direct you to those places where you can learn. Learn. Get ready, and there are people here who will accompany you to grow.
Thank you so much, Doc. You went above 30 seconds, Victoire. They're looking at the camera directly.
So very quickly, I'm very happy to be here and to be capable of giving you guys a few tips when it comes to managing your personal finances, but also managing the finances of your business, right? So the main point here is to give yourself some plans, some objectives. What is it you want to reach? Where is it you want to go to? And then you make sure to find the right way to go. And as my friend just said, please reach out to those institutes. SOCIETE Finance is here to support you. We organize conferences. We have a masterclass this Saturday coming up, Saturday morning at Elite Offices, where we'll talk to you about putting in place a budget, about putting in place or getting to the right savings products, how you can manage to save your money properly and even invest.
Thank you so much. Wilma, you're looking at your camera the other way.
Thank you very much for having me. Like everyone has said here, what I would like to focus on is vision. Where there's no vision, you're perishing. When you have a vision as to where you want to go to, I believe it's going to push you to be able to find information. So let's focus on having a vision about where we want our businesses and our personal lives to go. And then we can start building from there and we'll get transformation. Thank you.
All right, Christelle.
Ce que je vais dire, c'est que j'encourage toutes les femmes dans l'entrepreneuriat féminin parce que de nos jours, nous devons tous intégrer le processus d'inclusion financière et chaque femme doit essayer d'évoluer, c'est-à-dire traverser du secteur informel pour le secteur formel et tout ça pour le développement général des femmes et en particulier de l'économie au Cameroun.
Thank you so much, women, from Dr. to Victoire, Wilma, and Krista. I want to say thank you. And I will not forget Ange, that was here to before. Thank you all for responding to our invitation. We're talking about women in the informal sector, how to break the barriers. I'm sure you learned something that will help you move from the informal to the formal sector. The program was Women and Leadership on Canal International. Bye-bye.